I've been a professional illustrator for over 10 years now, and I haven't once used alcohol markers. So when Ohuhu reached out to me and sent me this package of free markers and other art supplies to test and review, I knew it. Today would be the day I'm using markers for the first time. So in this video, I'm a complete beginner again, not knowing what to expect from this medium, and you will be here to witness this along the way. I'm going to try and draw some characters in my style, and let's start by checking out all of the nice art supplies that Ohuhu gifted me. So the first thing I received was this Ohuhu paper pad. And as I've never used markers before, I also haven't used marker paper before. So it is 200 grams, has 60 sheets, and inside we'll find this protective sheet, and it's to put behind the page when you're going to color to prevent bleed through. I'm very interested to see how this works. It's pretty nice that this is included in the paper pad. The paper is pretty white. It is spiral bound, which I normally do not use very often. It's nice that you can take the paper out though. The paper pad comes with this little booklet with information. There's tips about how to remove the page from the book. I also received these liquid fine liners. I'm not sure if I have used liquid fine liners. I'm curious to see how they work. I don't think this would be a medium that I would normally use within my illustrations though. But this, I think, is what we all came here to see. The art markers from Ohuhu. I received the pastel ones. It's 96 markers. I really love the colors. I love using pastel colors in my work, so they are just perfect for me. And they also come with this little booklet, which is great because I haven't used them before. So I'm sure this will be full of lots of tips. This case is very luxurious, I think. Comes with an adjustable strap. I really like the aesthetics of these markers. I like the white, the silver lettering, and I know that this has nothing to do with the performance of the brushes, but that's a real first advantage for me. They look very nice. So each one of these pastel markers has a broad tip and a brush tip. I think for my work I'm mainly going to use the brush because I already work with paint, so I hope and imagine that this will not be too difficult, but I'm not sure yet. I think we just have to see and try them out now. So now that we've taken a look at all of the products, I think it is time to try the markers out. Since a swatch sheet wasn't included and I'm not going to use all of the marker colors, I will take one of the pages out of this little sketchbook and I will just pick and choose the colors as I go and swatch them immediately, see what the color looks like. I'm going to take one piece of paper out of the book, and the leaflet that was provided with the paper pad said that it's easy to take the page out when you fold on the perforated line. I notice already it is a little bit sturdy, so I'm going to fold it again on this side. So let's see and test how that will come off. So it actually comes out really smoothly in that way, so it was a good tip. Because there's only limited time in one video, I thought to make the sketches ahead of time. So here are 3 sketches that I already made. I wanted to have a little bit of a spread on the page and have 3 characters. I gave them scarves so we can play around a lot with colors. I've already picked some of the colors that I would like to use, but we can always pick more along the way. I would also like to see what the colorless blender is all about. I'm going to start by coloring this little mouse. I already almost forgot to put in a protective sheet, so we're off to a great start. I think I'm going to start with warm gray for its fur. And this is where the second protective sheet comes in very handy, because now I can show the little swatch to you. Okay, so this is way less scary than I thought. It is very smooth, and I have a feeling that when adding more, yes, it builds up in value, so that's great. That was what I was hoping for. And it just looks very smooth on the paper. And when we look on the back, Okay, it does bleed through on the other side of the paper, so when using the protective sheet it wouldn't go on to the next paper, but it will bleed through to the next side, at least with this paper. So I can build up the value of the color just like with watercolors, but the material isn't like anything that I've used before, so it still will be a little bit of a learning curve, I think. So let's start by adding some warm gray to the little face of the mouse. And then we can add a little bit of extra for the cheeks. And if all is well, this will build up the values a little bit. Yes, I quite like the combination between the pencil and the markers. Wasn't quite sure how that would turn out. So now I'm going to pick a color for his little nose and ears. Let's start by trying out Barely Beige. Beige. They are right that it's barely beige. I wouldn't classify this color as beige at all. I am looking for a little bit of a lighter color, so it's a good thing that I made this little swatch. I keep opening the broad tip instead of the brush. So this pink is a little bit too, I don't know, too bright for me. So we're just going to try and find the right pink until we have it. I'm now trying Pale Fruit Pink. Aha, yes, that is more like it. I'm sorry if you haven't been able to see the swatches very well. I'll keep that in mind moving forward. I think this is a good color for the ear and nose, so let's try that. Yes, I like it a lot. Let's add it to his little hands as well. And we also mustn't forget to add a tail. So I'm going to try to add this with the brush in one swoop. Okay, so now I see that the brush has mixed a little bit with the pencil, and that was to be expected, I think. It's a fairly light color and I use a very soft pencil because I just like sketching with soft pencils. But I like the look of the tail. Actually, I'm going to add some more value to some parts. Yes. And for his little eye, I was thinking about using the liquid fine liners. So we have a use for them after all. So it's nice we can try them out. I'm going to use the 5 point of the pencil, hoping that the alcohol marker is dry. I'm not sure how long it takes to dry. Hopefully it doesn't bleed. Okay, I'm in luck, it doesn't bleed. And now we have a little eye. This is what our little sketch looks like right now. I'm going to color the scarf and the pants. We're going to try sky blue as color. And that is just as dark as I was hoping. So let's try it on. I really like how the color goes onto the paper so very smoothly. And I love how I'm able to add shadows as I go by just adding some more of the color to build up the value. I'm going to use a lighter blue for the scarf. Frost blue may be a good option. I think this is a little bit too frosty, so I'm going to try another one. Light blue may be the one. Also not really the tint I was looking for. Then we have pale grayish blue. I think that will fit with the pants very nicely. I do see that some of the value that I do add gets absorbed in the rest of the color, so I will try and add some more sky blue now that the paint or the marker has dried up a little bit. So let's see if that works. Oh, I like this color. You look so dandy. I wanted to add stripes to the scarf, but I can't add white now, so they have to be a different color. When I'm adding the marker, I think, oh my god, I'm adding way too many stripes and this will be something you get to see very well, but I must say that this isn't the case at all. I now may add some sky blue for shadows. I'm not sure what they are called, but the little thingies that go on the end of the scarf. I will add some stripes using the sky blue. It's nice that you can vary the thickness of the lines because you can add some more pressure or less pressure to the tip of the brush. Yes, I like that. Shall we add socks? Always an important question. If we do, of course we are going to use sand color. I'm not sure why. No, this will be a good color for one of the other animals' fur, I think. So we're going to save sand for later. And we're going to add salmon pink. Yes, that's a little bit of orange. So I think that will go well in this color scheme. Orange socks for our little mouse. And since it's a little bit of autumn themed illustration, I'm going to add this same color to one of the leaves. I'm going to make one side of the leaf lighter and one darker. So I'm going to see if I can build up that color on this bottom side of the leaf. Let's see what that looks like. Already adding some details, why not? So we still have to pick the color for his coat. I'm leaning towards a yellow coat. Yeah, let's just see what that looks like. We are practicing here anyways. I'm wondering what buttercup yellow will look like. And I can't believe it, but that was exactly the kind of color I was hoping for. So, yay! Let's add the yellow to the little mouse. Okay, this will of course mix a little bit with the pencil. A little bit of a shame, but something I will keep in mind when drawing with markers again. I also accidentally drew over his little hand, I think, but that can be salvaged by just adding some blue. Now he's wearing mittens. I hope this won't bleed, by the way, I hadn't thought of that. With watercolors I wouldn't add another color if the first one is still wet, so I think that could have been prevented, but it didn't bleed terribly. I'm going to add some of the orange, also known as salmon pink, to the inside of the coat to add a little depth. And I think I will also go ahead and add some orange buttons as well. And I'm going to go back in with the buttercup yellow and see if I can add some more shading. I really do enjoy it. Yes. And the coat is a little light, so I'm going to add a little yellow here as well. I'm wondering how I can add a little bit of texture to this. So if you have worked with markers more than I have, and do let me know if I can add an interesting texture in some way. Very curious about that. This is easier to do with watercolors and paint and color pencil, I believe. I can of course always add a little bit of color pencil later. So since it's still autumn, I'm also going to add some yellow for this little leaf. I quite like the pastel color palette, I must say. I'm going to use the sand color for his little feet. So these are all colors that we swatched already, so I haven't added any new colors. I am going to try glass green for the ground, but that's way too saturated for me. We'll try green shadow. I need a green shadow, so this may be perfect. Yeah, this may be perfect. Yep. Some more salmon pink for the buttons. They have faded a little bit. I do notice that the colors get a little lighter once they are dry. So let's fix that. So I think we finished our first animal. Am I brave enough to try the colorless blender? I'm not sure what this will do. Let's see what happens when I use it a little bit on the pants. It gets a little bit lighter, or maybe it gets wet again so you can blend better. I'm not sure. Maybe I now just ruined the pants. I'm not sure. It gets a little bit of texture, so that was something that I did ask for. I'm not sure, maybe it is used for blending colors. Let me know if you know it. I like to vary the values of the stripes, so I'm going to make some of the stripes a little darker. This adds fun depth to the image. This is our first finished character, and I'm very happy with the end result, I must say. Now that I've started, I think it's not as scary anymore, and I do feel courageous enough to color the next animals. I just practiced a little bit more with this kitten, so we're on to the last sketch. I quite like the color palette of the first two characters, so I'm going to use them as well for the bunny. And that's quite a dark brown, which I'm happy about, because I was thinking when all of the colors are equally light, it can be a little bit challenging to create darker characters. I was thinking about adding yellow for his little snoot. And then I will use this color for the nose. Yes, that's the one I used before, I think. Maybe I will add some of it to the ears as well, to have a little bit of pink shining through. Not sure how that will pan out, but we'll see. This time around I'm not forgetting that I want to add white stripes as well, so of course we need to have that negative space preserved. I think I'm going to give him a green scarf. This almost looks a little bit like watercolors. I'm going to use some sand again for one of the leaves. Let's add some shadow here as well. He will have the same color for his little legs. Maybe he will have blue shoes. Yes. I'm going to need a little bit of a darker pink for his nose, I believe, so let's find that. I keep on opening the broad tip. Okay, this is the perfect one. The other one was almost invisible. Let's add some pink pockets. If I sound like I am a little bit out of breath, it's because I already had to open the door twice while filming this, and my art studio is all the way up on the highest floor of our home, so I have to run down and up 2 stairs every time I need to go to answer the door. So yeah, tiny disclaimer. I am going to add a little bit of pencil, so his features are a little bit more clear, and some whiskers. And I have been thinking, but I think I am going to use yellow again for his coat. And I know we already have a yellow coat, but maybe we can add a little bit of variation. So I'm thinking about adding a little pattern to the coat. Okay, so I'm going to bring back not the sand, but the salmon pink color for this little pattern. I often make this checkered pattern. It's become quite part of my style when drawing animal characters, and so this coat will be a little bit different than the first one. I just thought that a full orange coat would not fit as well because of the pink pockets, but now that I see them together, I think it's quite a colorful design. I don't hate it. And I think I will have the pattern right where it is right now, so I will leave this bit blank. I quite like it. It's a little bit of a girly coat. So maybe let's color the inside as well. Yes. And finally, add some more details to the leaves. Et voila. I'm very happy that Ohuhu gave me the opportunity to try markers for the first time in my life. It turned out not to be as frightening as I imagined. You know, when you're going to make a video and you're going to try a new medium, there's a good chance that it doesn't go as planned. These illustrations are not 100% similar to the illustrations that I usually make, so I definitely see that I have a way to go to really master the medium. For a first time, I am really happy with the results. Let's discuss some pros and cons to the markers and the paper. The first pro for me is that the markers are very beginner friendly. It really didn't need a lot of exercise or practice. If you've held a pencil or a crayon or a brush even, I think you are going to have a lot of fun with these markers. Another pro for me is that they are beautiful colors. I really was pleasantly surprised by the colors. They are very soft and everything they promise on the website is true for me. I really love the colors. I loved picking them and I like the way they look on my characters. It's also a beautiful wide range of colors. There's lots to choose from, which is a big pro for me. What also was very nice and one of the most important things was that the colors distributed very evenly. There's not a lot of stripes in the design going on. The distribution of colors was very even. Also, when going over the same area for multiple times, the color went onto the paper very smoothly. Also, a big pro for me is that they do not smell. Strong smells can really trigger some sensory overwhelm. If you have this too, you know what I'm talking about. And with these markers, I expected them to smell very much like alcohol, but that wasn't the case at all. And the paper is also very smooth. It works really well with the markers, which it is of course designed for. If I had to name one thing that I didn't like as much for the paper, I did notice that the markers bleed through to the other side, and if I were to use this paper block as a sketchbook, then I really would be annoyed by this. So even though the protective sheets are there, it doesn't bleed onto the next sheet. It will be a pity that I can't use the back side of the paper and it will look a little bit messy. Overall, my experience with the Ohuhu markers was very great. I'm very happy that I got the opportunity to test the markers and they went up and above my expectation, and I can add an extra art supply to my mixed medium palette. Thank you for being here while I tried to take the first steps in using markers. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!